Hello and welcome, it's me, LinkingX2, back again with another draft review of T1 versus Damwon Kier. So, before we get right into it, yeah, check out the description, you find out all the social links, Twitter, Twitch, all that good shit. And yeah, before we're getting right into it, don't forget to hit me up with a like and subscribe for more regular draft content. So, hopping right into it. So of course here, T1 a bit, affected mentally after the passing of their COO. F in the chat. Really sad. I mean, I didn't know the guy, but yeah, from all the comments I heard, he was pretty good. So yeah, sad for his loss. But focusing more on the draft today, obviously here we see Diana being banned on the blue side. It's a bit more strange as Diana is a really powerful pick, and especially Oner has had great performances on the pick, so T1 valuing it not too much to pick it first is a bit strange, right? Of course, Canyon might be a better Diana player, that's up for debate, and yeah, you could say so. He obviously has played more of the champion, so has shown more. But here with the Varus as well and the Ziggs, T1 banning potential first picks on the blue side unless this is a visual bug. Their bans are quite strange. Usually the bans that Damwon Kier is having, the Nocturne, the Xinjiao, are bans that come in on the blue side, and the Ziggs, Varus and Diana are being banned on the red side. Of course, the Varus is not as great on the blue side as on the red side due to terrain differences. But still, it's a very powerful pick. So yeah, I'm really confused by that. And especially Diana and Ziggs, I feel these are champions that are more first pick worthy. Yes, Diana is not super OP, but if played correctly and especially with the team, yeah, we have seen her pop off more than enough. On the other side here, Damwon Kier finishing their bans with Thresh against Carrier. So yeah, taking away the usual Aphelios Jinx potential, even though Aphelios and Jinx are not as popular at the moment. But the thing is, Thresh is more or less the only protect or like hard protect champion, right? He doesn't offer shields like a Lulu, but him and Tahm Kench were the only ones with really hard protection due to like carry displacement, you could call that, right? The Thresh Lantern and the Tahm Kench Devourer. Tahm Kench lost his Devourer, or like more or less lost it, right? So Thresh only being the only one who can really mimic that protection. So here, already in the picks, Viego first pick. A bit strange, T1 never really showed too much priority on the pick, so maybe they have developed something here over the last couple of days. We still have to remember T1 more or less playing without a proper coach setup, which is obviously extremely hard against the best coach ever, right? Koma, obviously the GOAT of coaching, similar how Faker is as a player. Of course, we saw in the last game that T1, even without coaching or like main coaches, can do quite well. Against the KT, obviously they stomped them. And here again we see similar components from their last success, Ryze for Faker and Jayce for Canna. So he's obviously a high comfort pick, but also picks that are quite strong in the meta at the moment. And against Gwen and the Lucian, yes, Ryze and Jayce are not winning all the time in the game, right? Ryze losing early on in most cases, and Jayce losing against Gwen in most cases late game. So there are some avenues for Damwon Kier to attack, but I feel like T1 is more comfortable with their champions. Also, we have to note Gwen might be a flex pick, so we might see Canyon play it. And yeah, of course, the Lucian. At the moment, it's more of a mid pick, but we have seen it in the AD carry position as well, and in the top lane. And now I have to hold that point. We see the Zac being locked in. So, little note here: I have been a Zac player for many years before I finally discovered Ornn for myself. Oh well, I played Ornn in the jungle as well, but then on top lane. Anyway, so Zac obviously quite strong, got buffed in a couple of patches ago. His clear speed now way better, and with some of the item changes as well, he can become quite the menace. We can't be sure if it's like a top lane Zac variant, which would or which has the potential to do quite well against Jayce actually. This matchup is not completely disastrous, but of course the jungle Zac is the common one here. T1 rounding up their comp with a Kalista Gragas, so Carrier and Gumayusi are going to play champions they're quite comfortable with, and obviously the combination of Gragas Kalista is very nice, with the Kalista ultimate being really helpful. Let's pause here for a second, because we missed quite a few things, because, well, a Zac lock-in doesn't happen every other day. So T1's comp overall has some good avenues in the early game, and also with the Viego and Ryze have a late game potential. Not that Jayce falls off immensely in the later game stages, but you know what it is. You know what it is. He's not that great. Damwon here looking in the Braum as a last pick, so that's obviously quite effective against champions like the Jayce and the Kalista. It's not the same as a Senna, which is auto int for Kalista, right? Because Kalista, just repeating it, obviously scales very well with attack speed and movement speed. And if Braum or Senna do slow her, yeah, she's kind of fucked. So Braum's slow is obviously not targeted. Yes, it's on his autos, but he's a melee champion. But the reason why Senna with her slow auto attacks is super effective against her is, yeah, she's ranged and she has a Q that has even more range. So Senna can easily apply the slow, and then, yeah, Kalista is kind of stuck. But what I wanted to go over are the bans here. T1 banning the Wukong Leona duo. They've banned this exact duo in the past again, if they're playing comps that are a bit softer, right? Viego not really too tanky, or Ryze not tanky at all, and in this current iteration, Jayce, Kalista, Gragas, no tanks, very soft team, so hard engage is obviously super effective. There exists the Zac, which will be an issue, right? Zac is a champion that we haven't seen in pro play for quite a while. T1 should be a bit more familiar with him. They have played against Zac metas in the past, and I mean, there's a T1 Zac skin. But these newer players here, Canna, Oner, Gumayusi and Carrier, they're all very young. They're playing their first or second pro year, so yeah, we have to see if they can adapt to the Zac jungle style. It's not as unique as Evelynn, but Zac and, for example, also Rek'Sai do approach jungling and ganking a different way than most common junglers, so teams need to adapt to that, and I feel that could be an issue. Probably going to see a Zac ban in the draft number 2. And yeah, on the other side, Ezreal and the Kog'Maw being banned here from Damwon. The Ezreal obviously would be an answer to their Zac plan, right? Ezreal obviously a very mobile and safe AD carry, and the Kog'Maw would be yeah, along the lines of Viego and Ryze, high scaling, and also with his ultimate and yeah, Jayce range, there would be a high scaling and high range on T1 side. So yeah, their bans also make a lot of sense, so does T1's. We're not talking about the first half of bans, I think they're a bit silly, but well, that's what it is. So let's yeah, let's go forward here a bit, and let's look at the lane matchups. So in the bot lane we have Carrier and Gumayusi with Kalista and Gragas against Ghost and Beryl with Aphelios and Braum. So Aphelios, Braum, not really all that of a strong bully lane. They're quite secure, especially if Aphelios manages his guns correctly to the situations, which we have seen a lot of Aphelios do at the moment. Especially Doctam from Nongsheng has shown great control over his guns. Obviously, it's easier said than done, right? But yeah, so they should be a bit safer, but obviously Kalista, Gragas, that is a very strong bully lane, and especially considering T1's level of play, especially from their bot lane, yeah, we can expect to see something good. Top lane, already talked about that, Canna will bully, but he has to watch out for the trades. Obviously, Khan here playing with the Ghost and TP instead of the Ignite TP, which I'm not too fond of. I think the Ignite would have been good for him to get some early pressure, especially considering that Zac is not really all too fond of ganking top lane for the red side. If we look at the minimap, the terrain to gank from is not really all that there, especially considering early levels in E. In the mid lane, we saw that matchup quite a lot. If you're watching international League of Legends as well, yeah. So the Lucian obviously has the pressure here, very much so, but it's not that Faker can't do anything. It will be hard though, and it will require Lucian to make some mistakes. So yeah, that's that. Good dodge on the Q there. So overall, T1 winning in scaling, I would say yes, when Aphelios and Zac do scale, but Aphelios scaling is a bit more conditional, right? I mentioned often that he is a black champion, which means that he's conditional, and T1 really is not fulfilling that condition this time. Last time T1's team comp had a few issues against Aphelios, as they were running into him, and Aphelios is also dying here. Or is he? Whatever. F. This time T1, yes, they have a few shorter range champions, but even these champions are not really running into Aphelios. It will be harder for Ryze and Viego, but yeah, they also have champions like the Gwen and like the Lucian that do handshake these shorter range fights a bit more. So it's not a complete gap in team comp, but obviously the first blood here in the bot lane for the Braum against the Kalista is hurting her more, because obviously her scaling is yeah, a bit worse. She has her team fight abilities later on, but yeah, not that great in scaling at all. So I would give a slight lead normally to T1's comp, but I think stuff like the Zac can make a great difference here from Damwon Kia, if T1 is not prepared to yeah, deal with the champion and his yeah, unique pathing and unique jungling. So far nothing has happened, but well, let's wait and see. And also we're waiting and seeing each other in the next episode, so stay safe till then.